Hi everyone, we're live. This is Arsenal Fan Circle, Season 2, Episode 41. I got Tony, Ryan, and the thoroughly disappointed bearded gooner, Tanner. Thanks for joining me. And Ryan, I know that you don't have a lot of time, so you're swigging as much beer as you can.
Exactly. I'm trying to get it all in now. I'm trying to do it all
Get it all in. Get it all in. Get it all out. Give us your rundown on the game, Ryan.
Okay, so I made a comparison on our last podcast, and I talked about, you go into the bar, prettiest girl there, you chat her up, you're having a great time, doing everything's good, and then next thing you know, maybe you farted, you said something, and then she pawned you off to her ugly fat friend. Well, this game was kind of like that, except the ugly fat friend gives you STDs, and now you got a medical bill. And that's how I feel right now. I have gonorrhea and a $10,000 medical bill that I need some sorting out. And I'm just hopefully the beer just kills all the infection and everything like that. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Hi, Stan. Thanks for joining us as well. Stan the man.
Everyone.
Yeah, not so great. Not so great. This was not so good, to put it mildly. And we're going to get into it long after Ryan has left us. We're going to get into it. Let's go to Tanner next. The thoroughly disappointed bearded gooner, and that's putting it mildly, Tanner.
I mean, it's just it's funny because after the Leicester match, there were a lot of people who were just pissed off. But who are you mad at today? Other than the player, I mean, look, this is self-inflicted wounds. I saw somebody on Twitter say Jose Mourinho had the perfect game plan in the second half. Sit back and let Arsenal beat Arsenal.
I saw that too. Phenomenal, yeah. I agree.
And that's exactly what it is. Just you know what? Eventually, this defense was going to shit the bed, and they did it today. They did. And it was a great run.
First time to do it.
Yep, it was a great run. Leading up to this, the draw against Leicester on Tuesday, notwithstanding, but eventually the brain farts were just going to seep back in. And I said on Twitter that it's Lacazette's goal was a world-class strike, and then Kolasinac, what's he do? The brain fart seeps out, and I went back and I watched it again, real quick, and he actually had about 10 more yards that he could have run forward, and he stopped. He just stopped, and too often today, I saw guys with green grass in front of them with the ball just fucking stop. What are you doing? Run forward into space. Take the space. Make the defender commit to you to try to make the defender make the mistake. But no, what did we do? We see 20 yards of space and we're like, oh my God, what do I do? I don't know what to do with the ball now. And we all of a sudden were Arsenal of November, October, under Emery, like, no, stop. Don't wait. Whoa, don't go forward. Don't go forward. God forbid. Don't go forward. The world ends at the edge of Tottenham's penalty box. Stop. If you go too close, you fall off the earth. And I'm going off on a rant here, but the bottom line is just, the players aren't good enough. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of like what you expect. Kolasinac, that's an awful pass. I saw people blaming David Luiz for that. David Luiz did all he could. If he does anything more to Son's going down, and he's going to draw the penalty. And everybody's predictions come to fruition where who takes the dive, Harry Kane or Son? Son takes the dive, Kane takes the penalty, and next thing you know, ball's in the back of the net. But the ball was in the back of the net anyway. Regardless, it just was. And Mustafi, I've tried.
And Ryan is going to bow out here, right? You're out of here, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm leaving. The one thing I'll say is this. We all joked around about how, the ref's going to fuck us somehow, how, we don't have a winning record with Michael Oliver, and how and I had two friends over watching the game, and we were taking predictions on how they're going to get the penalty. One of us said, Luiz is going to trip Son. Another one of us said Luiz is going to trip Kane. I said Glassnatch is going to trip. I said Mustafi is going to trip Son. That's what I said. And it's funny. It didn't happen. No, we can't blame the refs.
Nope.
We didn't. We obviously fucked up on defense. So like that part, I guess we were somewhat right. But it's pathetic. We have nobody. Like Tanner said, great points. We have nobody to blame but ourselves. Hope you guys have a good rest of the podcast. And I'm gonna go drink a bunch of wine and cry a little bit. And I'll be thinking of you guys.
Taste those beers with some wine.
Later,
Like a whole barrel.
Yeah,
A whole
man.
barrel.
Everybody.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, Stan, your initial take on the game.
Well, the first thing is, right, it's basically the same formation and the same players as the Leicester game. But the difference is, it was a different style of play. So is that because they've been given a different set of instructions by the manager, or is it that the players decided that they weren't, whatever the manager told them, they were throwing it out the window and they're just going to start kicking the ball backwards all the time? And again, and I said it last week as well, the last game, yet again, we've now been undone today by an individual errors being made by the same individuals. It's individual errors. Tottenham, it wasn't like Tottenham had a great move and created a goal and scored, and it's a case of, right, we've got to do better. We've got to do better there. We created the goal for Tottenham. After doing all the hard bit of scoring a goal, and Lacazette, I jumped up off the sofa. I was doing a watch along on another channel. I was running around, man. Lacazette got the ball, and I was like, another away goal for him. It was a good goal. And, by the time I was sort of like sitting back down again, the replay, another individual error just undoes it all.
This is like deja vu, Stan, because this happened in the Europa League. We were celebrating Aubameyang's great goal, and then minutes later, they concede.
Here's what I would be doing. If I was Mikel Arteta on Monday morning, right, I'd be going into the Raul's and Edu's office with a laptop, and I'd have that Kolasinac back pass on loop, and I'd just sit down and I'd let him look at the laptop for a couple of minutes, and I'd say to him, if you don't back me in the market, right, this is what it's going to happen all the time.
Yeah.
This is it. Do you know what I mean? And there's certain things that I can't improve. He's an old dog's Kolasinac. You ain't going to learn any new tricks. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
As I said to you before, there's about 4 or 5 players. Kolasinac, David Luiz, Socrates, Mustafi, Saka. Have I missed anyone out of the usual suspect?
Nope.
Mustafi. As long as any of those people are in the team, this is what's going to happen, because they've all got that mistake in them to do it. And it makes me laugh when people are like, and now I'm hearing that Mustafi's going to be maybe getting a new contract. So who are making these decisions? Who's made the decision that David Luiz should have got his contract extended? So is it Raul that's going? Is it Raul that's going, you know what, I think Mustafi's improved a little bit. Why don't we just offer him another contract? Because if Raul's making that decision, then that's not good. If Mikel Arteta is going up to Raul and saying, listen, next season, I want to have Mustafi in my starting lineup, make it happen, give him a new contract, then that also worries me.
Yeah.
Because if we want to move forward, I understand that he has to play these players now because we ain't got no one else. I get that. But if we're actually talking about we're going to be moving forward and giving these players another contract, I'm still not giving the David Luiz one a pass. I still can't find a justifiable reason why that had to be done. Zach Medley is that bad then, is he? That we'd rather pay all that money out to have him in our team. You see what I'm getting at? Is that how you're making the decision?
Yeah, that was a strange decision, and London Old School agrees with the 5 that you named, Stan. He had David Luiz, Mustafi, Kolasinac, and you added 2 others in there. We got to hope we're going to get a decent defender in Saliba. We're putting a lot of faith on a young player coming in.
But do you think that it's fair for Saliba to? Do you think it's fair for Saliba to be in this mess? It's not fair for us fans to, put him in a position to basically almost fell. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
in
we're
the
we're
sense
hanging we're hanging him out to dry, Rohan. We're bringing
Yeah.
Saliba. Rohan,
that-
we're going to bring Saliba into this Keystone Cup situation where David Luiz is as Stan had said before, is going to be the Jedi Master to Saliba. What kind of craziness is that?
More like a Sith Lord.
Sith Lord. Yeah.
It's
Stiff clown.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing how many times we've gone up against a team where we said a top 6 team where we said they're not in form or they don't have the players available, and we go in and we fuck it up. Like that's what we do. Like we
Yeah.
don't even get a draw in that situation. We always lose. That's the thing about being confident with Arsenal. They love it because they know that they're gonna like absolutely ruin your day. It's unacceptable the way these guys play. I said this on Andrew's show that Kolasinac should be fined his match day fees for what he did today. It was
Wheel of Fortune.
it was unnecessary. We scored a goal. We scored a goal out of not a brilliant move, but an individual brilliance, which means it's difficult to get goals right now. And then what do we do? 2 minutes later, we give it away. He had all the space on the outside of David Luiz, but he passed it on the inside. Why would he do that? Is he a rookie? Like, it's unimaginable. And Mustafi, don't even get me started there. He has been, people have been raving about him. Oh, he's put in the effort, etc., etc. But that second half performance showed why people don't trust him. He was just going to ground for every occasion. What was he trying to do there?
And he was our best defender, Rohan.
He
was our best defender.
If that was the best, we are in bigger trouble than we typically are.
Yeah.
This is just getting out of hand. And I'm not saying that we should be just unhappy or that Spurs are shit or Spurs are just a point above us or 2 points above us. It's not about that. Are we good enough for top 6? Are we good enough for top 4? Are we good enough for top 3? Are we? No, we're not. We'll get outplayed every single time. Our midfield is lacking. I'm sorry, I'm like going on a monologue, but our midfield is lacking. Lacazette comes back and he plays behind Xhaka. He's playing in the center circle on our side of the field. Goals are at a premium right now. Aubameyang, he needs to get one of those, in. We had to score there because if he's not scoring, other people aren't really scoring, and it was just miserable to watch.
Yeah, and I have in my notes Aubameyang unfortunately hitting the crossbar, and that was a turning point for me. We scored that goal. Possibly we go on to win that game 2-1 rather than losing it. But Tony, I want to go up and get your take now. Lacazette played quite well, Tony, but we're let down by defensive frailties yet again.
It's just a few individuals let us down as a team. We played good. We finally had a good start to the second half. We did great, probably the first 25 minutes of the second half. Just the same old characters fucked it up for us. And
sorry, Mum.
And
there goes another podcast you can't sense, Dan.
And with Uba, everybody would be killing Lacazette if he missed those 3 chances.
He has to be in the box to miss those chances, no?
It was. That's where Arteta's been playing him as a central midfielder for whatever reason.
Yeah, and
you said, Rohan, we got to fix our midfield. It's our main issue. It's non-existent.
And the assemble, you have been telling us that these players are just not good enough, especially defensive players. And we have to be in a situation this summer where we can rotate some of those players out. And I was on a podcast yesterday with some Liverpool fans, and they were mystified as to how we've picked up David Luiz for another season. It's just league-wide, that's just everyone's scratching their head on that one. And Tanner, I'm going to come to you on that one. All of the league are kind of laughing at David Luiz, and we picked him up for another year. And that's something that Mikel Arteta, it happened in his stewardship. It's one of those things that's going to go down against him if it goes wrong.
Well, we talked about this after when did he sign for the extra year? It was right after Manchester City, wasn't it? Or was it after Brighton? No, it was after Manchester City.
I would say it was right after Manchester City.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we all sat here, we all scratched our heads thinking, is this the guy that is supposed to be leading us forward, and leading the back line of defense? And what the hell is happening here? And I am going to disagree with Mustafi being the best defender today. I don't know why. I don't know what Luiz could have done more in the Son goal. Mustafi was garbage. I mean, we all, I think, except for Stan, watched the game here in the States, and even Lee Dixon was saying, the player's going to beat you. You're not going to win the ball from him. So instead of going after him to get beat quicker, just run along with him. And now my food's here, of course. I'll be right back, guys. I'm sorry, Rick.
No problem at all. I knew that may happen, Tanner. Tony, and I want to just say the stuff that Tanner's been talking about with Mustafi, I think principally it all happened in the last 10 minutes of the game, right? Rohan, we were 2-1 down, and I think we got a little bit helter-skelter in our play, and we were desperate to get the ball back. So I think a lot of our thinking on Mustafi, he wasn't the best. We didn't have three good defenders today. But for me, he was still one of the better ones. I think he was still better than David Luiz. And it was really Kolasinac gifted that goal, and David Luiz
gifted that goal. But would you say that if I remember 3 times that Mustafi went on the ground, if they would have scored 2 more and this was a 4-1 score line, would you still say that Mustafi was our best defender? I mean, you're just saying that because they didn't score, but that was piling on the pressure. Mustafi defends like how we would play football when we were in 2nd grade or something, right? Like when you pick the ball and everybody runs after the ball. Nobody has any awareness of how.
Flock of sheep.
And that's how he was playing. He was just getting drawn to the ball like he's some insect getting drawn to light, right? Like Kane is not the fastest player in the world. He was getting beaten by him again and again, right? Lucas Moura beat him. In the box, he just went down at one point for no reason. This is like when you play PlayStation and you don't know the controls and you just accidentally hit the slide tackle button, right? Like there was no reason for him to go down. He is gone in his head. I don't want to see him. If he is our senior defender, we've got big problems. Don't give him a contract. He's got some value. Sell him.
Yeah, and I think Stefan's come in with some good ones there. David Luiz, the equivalent to Sid Vicious, can't play and is a gimmick. And the other one, how on earth Chelsea must have been laughing all the way to the bank in August. They got 8 million. We don't even know. It was probably 8 million for David Luiz. Once again, a legacy from Koscielny as well, unfortunately. Man, where do we go from here? Let's get into the game and let's talk about the goals. So Rohan, you mentioned the Lacazette goal, a moment of pure brilliance from Lacazette. But we have to recognize Granit Xhaka broke up and showed we were on the front foot and showed some tenacity. I mean, I thought, Granit Xhaka's had his moments this season, but I thought he played quite well in midfield in the tackle. And certainly in a bad team performance wasn't one of our worst players.
No, he wasn't, and we've got to recognize in the first for the first goal, he went in and tackled the player, or won the ball off of the player, which allowed Lacazette to get the ball and score. So that was great. But whenever I saw, it was either two of our guys in midfield and then like acres of grass after them, in which Tottenham could play however they wanted, or it was Lacazette taking that position, which meant that there wasn't anyone up front. So that is a major problem, and I don't know why. Our manager is not fixing that, because with two in midfield, how many times am I supposed to say that you're not going to control it? Even if we had more possession in the second half, we did have chances, and if we did score, if Alba did score there, then we'd be talking differently. But you can't like really have control. That first goal came out of nothing. If it weren't for Alba's chances, we didn't create really a lot more, and it was just uninspiring.
Yeah, Stan, to Rohan's point, and I was thinking about this. Is the formation we're using just a band-aid to get to the end of the season? Because we're playing three at the back to hide the deficiencies in our defending, right?
I think so. It's almost like a little diamond that we've got going on the back. But I mean, it just drives me mad. It's like Martinez to David Luiz to Mustafi to Xhaka, back to Mustafi, back to David Luiz, and then the move kind of starts again, or we might go out to Tierney.
That's how I play on PlayStation, because I'm not good at it.
But do you know what I mean? Though? It's just like you see it happening all of the time, but we didn't do that against Leicester. And this is my point. It was basically the same team playing in the same formation, but they just played in a completely different style. So is that down to the instructions that they have been given? As Mikel Arteta told them to do that, keep playing it out, playing it back, play it out, play it back. Is that what he's told them to do? Or are they just doing that because they were shitting themselves?
Just went back to their bad habits, I think.
And I thought in the first half, let's look at a couple of positive things. I thought in the first half, again, I thought Hector Bellerin was very good.
Yeah, Stan, what did you think of the starting lineup? Because I did want Cedric, and I'm going to put my hand up and say I did not want Lacazette to start.
Do you remember what I said the last time that I was here? I said, had Nicolas Pepe been available, who would have missed out? Someone would have missed out because he's sticking with Aubameyang on the left. And what happened today? Who missed out? It was Saka. Saka was the one that had to miss out. He hasn't found a way yet to get them all in when they're all fresh.
It seems to me that as long as Tierney is fit, that Saka will not be required in the left back situation or a wing back on the left side, and then he will be solely thought of as a winger now, or in the front part of the team.
Yeah. So other than rotation or coming off the bench, how does he start on the left-hand side if that's going to be permanently occupied by Aubameyang? And I know that a lot of people say, well, he's played a lot of minutes. Maybe that's why he didn't start today. But moving forward, someone is always going to miss out as long as Aubameyang takes it.
I still contend that Saka will be played on the left side of midfield in 4-3-3 next season. And I think we're going to drop the three at the back, go four at the back, three in midfield, and three forwards.
I mean, to answer your original question, you said, is it a band-aid to the end of the season? I would say that I don't believe that Mikel Arteta wants to continually play a five at the back or three centre-backs, however you want to term it. Yeah. And I think it is a case that he's found a system that is hiding the deficiencies that we've got in the midfield and also trying to get the best out of the players that he has. But, I mean, Kolasinac playing ahead of Holding is because he's got a left foot. That's why.
Yeah. That's all it is.
Because if Pablo Mari was fit, he would have been playing.
Yeah,
guaranteed. And
the assembler said, and we got to talk about this, Alonso. Arsenal won't be in Europe possibly, so being a big club, Arsenal should win the league as they're playing less games. I'll bet you now, if Arsenal get top six next season, they'll be lucky. Yeah, here's the thing, Alonso. Chelsea have missed out on Europe one of those years, and they came back. But they had a team. They had a good team ready to go, and if we miss Europe next season, we're not going to win the league next season either.
No, and I think that this is why we shouldn't be so much in a rush to resign Sabia. How do you say his name?
Tobias.
No, the
Danny.
William Sabia.
Danny Tobias. We'll just go with Danny. Danny C.
William Saliba.
Saliba, yeah. Saliba.
Give me one of the Spice Girls, Danny C.
Okay, Bernie.
So are you talking about William Saliba?
Saliba, yeah. So
William Saliba, I'm sorry.
Saliba, yeah. So it's important for him to not be thrown on the bus so quickly when it comes into Arsenal. That being said, he should. I think we should just help out Arteta as much as we can, and the Kroenke should invest more money into the club if they want to be successful. And this is where Chelsea, even though they didn't make European football that year, they brought in a couple of new players to help them out. Where this is Arsenal, and the owners really don't care as much to help out the team, no matter what people say. And I think that if you resign Ceballos, then yeah, sure, but he has to be in the right system to succeed. He has to have the right partnership to get the ball more attacking. But you can't have that if you have a guy like Saka who's not fast enough, and his partner, whether it be Torreira or Hardy, had to be smart as well and move like a Villar type of player, because Arteta has to make it right to where we can have Pepe and Saka on the wings and have whomever is Aubameyang up front.
Yeah.
Because Lacazette, being that false 8 is not going to work out because he's too high, playing too deep in the midfield.
Exactly. Well, let's bring Tony in on that conversation then. But I'll give a shout out to everyone in the comments, and thanks for joining everyone. London Old School since the start with us. Stefan, the Assembled, and Don Juan. Thanks for joining, and of course Connor McDonald. You've hit on something. I believe I agree with you, Connor. I think that Arteta eventually wants to transition to a 4-3-3. And I think Saka is a perfect player on the left side of that 3 in midfield. I do see maybe Martinelli, or if we still have Aubameyang, being our left-sided forward player. And Tierney's always got a position on the left side. But Tony, just continue on with what Alonso was talking about there with Lacazette. We seem to be still shoehorning Lacazette into the team, and it's not quite working.
Well, it's still a lack of midfield. Arteta's playing him deep instead of up in a box. So we're losing a striker with him being that far back. You can see what he does when he gets the ball, but he's not getting the ball because he's having to fight for the midfield to help control the ball because we have absolutely no presence in the midfield. Because Saka is so slow, he's playing up front. Ceballos is playing very deep. Ceballos should be playing more forward than he is.
I've seen a little bit more from Ceballos in the last couple of games. There's definitely been an instruction for him to play a little bit faster through midfield stand.
I thought again he had another very good game, but with Ceballos, what I've noticed with him, as much as I've enjoyed watching him, he fades in the second half, about 60 minutes or so. I've noticed it a lot. And a few times I think Mikel Arteta has been a little bit late with his substitutions when there's been tired legs. And especially as we do have, we do have more at our disposal now when it comes to substitutes. And again, today I thought that he was a little bit late in making some changes.
Stefan said, got more chance of the Brexit party being in Europe than Arsenal at the moment. And let's key in on this point with Rohan. The club's mentality is all wrong. It's been wrong for over a decade. If there was ever a game you wanted to, Rohan, we talked about this. We've been winning games, and we've not really been winning from behind. We've been scoring the first goal, and then maybe getting the deciding goal late on in the game. I'm thinking Southampton, Sheffield United, and Wolves. We've done it all kind of in the same way, and we wanted to see what Arsenal was like in this sort of a test when they went down and how they would react. And for me, they haven't really reacted very well, Rohan.
They don't have any character. This team does not have any character. They don't have any skill in them. They don't have any ambition. What signifies the performance was Mustafi, right? And I don't want to go again and again on him, but he typified what Arsenal are, right? Like when you go down or when you go behind or when you're faced with any sort of adversity, you just lose your head and you start doing random stuff, which is not going to be helpful for anyone. The mentality is wrong because it's disjointed. The team is disjointed. Is this even a team? It's just a bunch of individuals who maybe know how to play together and just they called a team because they're wearing the same shirt. If they weren't wearing same shirts, you would think like they're a bunch of different, the shit all stars. So that's what they seem like.
And let me stay with you for a second, Rohan. We're going to get into the equalizing goal, and Kolasinac, of course, we've mentioned, completely at fault. And like you said, I don't know how you can explain it any further. What was Kolasinac doing? That's really schoolboy stuff. When you're passing the ball back to the goalkeeper, you don't pass it to the middle of the goal. What was he doing?
Because there are no consequences, right? Like people don't think that their life depends on it. They don't think that, my wage depends on it. Today, how am I going to perform? If I don't perform, am I going to get my salary or not? And I'm not saying that people should be deducted their salary or, deduct their salary just because they made mistakes. They will make mistakes under pressure, but he was under no pressure. There were options available all around him. He had a simple pass. For God's sake, if he couldn't pick out that pass, he should have just booted it out. He could have done n number of things instead of putting the team under pressure. The only positive that I take from that move is beyond my thinking, Luiz didn't pull Son down, because I was thinking when this was playing out, I was thinking like Luiz was going to pull him down and he's going to concede a penalty and get sent off. That was what was going to happen. Just when we had scored, how dumb are you supposed to be for that? He wasn't thinking.
Yeah, Silent Stan is to blame. In hindsight, Arsenal done a fantastic job. Be careful what you wish for. Arsenal Fan Circle TV. Put the C in there. Put the C in there before the F and the T. That's fine. Arsenal's away record against the top four is appalling. 0 wins and something like 22 games in. It's Tanner, you're back. Something that we were talking about, winning away from home against a big team in Tottenham. And I asked, were they a big team? You said something like, it's a streak or it's a habit. If you win 2 on the spin away from home.
Yeah. So once the 2's a trend. And I think that's what I said.
It was a trend.
Yeah. And here we go. I want to actually pose a question here, if I may, to the panel.
Yeah.
Is this a matter? Was today? Were we? Not we, but were the players trying too hard? Were they almost? No, hang on. Hear me out. You're trying so hard that okay. So Kolasinac, did he Did he purposely put the ball where he did, or did he mishit it? In other words, is he trying too hard? So he's trying to be too perfect. And trust me, this is a thing where you're almost trying. I can't put any other way. Too hard.
I'll answer that. My answer to that is it's not that he's trying too hard. My answer is, why are you kicking it backwards in the first place and putting us on the back foot?
Yeah.
Well, and
whether he kicked it too soft, too hard, what have you. Why is that his option? He gets the ball and instead of trying to move the play forward, he's kicking it backwards when he's got Green in front of him.
They all.
I don't get that.
The only ones that don't do it are the three in attack. They're the only three that don't look to pass the ball backwards. Everyone else, and I mean everyone else, the only guy that doesn't ever pass the ball backwards is the fucking goalkeeper. Thank God for that. But everybody else in this side constantly, it's like, this is what it is. They want to build from the back out, right? This is how Arteta wants them to play. At least we think that's how he wants them to play. So they try to come up the middle, as Tony has so eloquently said before. We can't go through the middle because we have a shit midfield. So we can't go through the middle. Okay, so we back up, start over, try to go up the left. Okay, there's nothing there. So we're going to kick it back to David Luiz, and we're going to start over again, and we're going to try to go up the right.
No.
Number one, predictability, because you go up the middle. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to go to the left. Okay, that didn't work. Well, where are they going to go now? They're going to go to the right because they tried everything else. It didn't work, But that's what they do constantly. It's constantly resetting the progression upfield. Constantly. They're constantly going back to David Luiz, and Kolasinac does this a lot more than Mustafi. Mustafi will try to be
yeah, Mustafi, he's not one of the biggest culprits of that.
He gets to midfield, and all of a sudden, it's like,
That's the back.
I don't want the ball anymore. You take it.
That's because you're not talented enough in that area of the field to feel comfortable. And after losing the goal, especially, I saw him coming inside every time. Kolasinac would come inside, not progress the ball forward. But the Assemble put this question up twice, so we got to field it. If you put a question up twice, we'll definitely field it for you. Tony, have you ever thought Arsenal's bad defending starts from the attack?
No, there's no midfield. I don't see my attack being a problem.
Yeah, but there are specific instructions that Arteta wants his wingers to track back. So Aubameyang's got to do that work, and Pepe's got to do that work. And I thought Pepe, to a point, did that work a little bit on the right side. Now, I was a little bit disappointed with Pepe. He had a couple of flashes here and there, but nothing really ever came off for him, and he sort of faded out at the end of the first half.
Yeah, he never really had any impact after probably 30 minutes or so.
Stan, do you think that the Arsenal defend from the attack from the front?
Well, there've been a couple of games, haven't there, where we've managed to nick a goal. I think Aubameyang got one and Eddie Nketiah got one, where they pressed up onto the goalkeeper and caused like an error. And then there was the Joe Willock one where it was from the free kick and it spilled out and he came running in. And again, you could say that's defending from the front where they're closing the ball down high up the pitch and getting something out of it. There was none of that today. And I don't understand. I said it the third time, I'm going to say it now. Same team, same formation, different style of play. It was nowhere near like the Leicester game. And it's weird, isn't it? Because we had all of that vim and vigour. I just wanted to get those two words in there. Vim and vigour in the first half in the Leicester game. This game, we didn't have any of that. Whereas Spurs in their last game, they didn't even get any shots on target against Bournemouth.
And Connor,
it's a complete kind of switch around. You know what I mean? We didn't build on the last game, the good points, the good things that we've done. But here's the thing again for me: individual fucking errors. Sorry, Mum, I'm sorry, but it's individual fucking errors. Do you know what I mean? I would have gone in at half time. And I know Kolasinac is a big lad, but I would have squared up to him. I would have been that disappointed. I would have I would have pushed him a little bit and be like, "You've crossed
Well,
up, man.
I
crossed
wonder what Tony Adams would have thought about that game.
Oh man.
I might have shouted at him from a distance because he's a big lad, but I would have made I would have made it clear that he's let us down and he needs to make up for it somehow in the second half.
Yeah. And Connor, you're definitely right. We got to go out and get Thomas Partey as soon as possible. And when it's time to do it, we'll go get him, I'm sure. Rohan, do we defend from the front, Rohan? Aubameyang, Pepe today?
It was again disjointed, and it's not about defending from the front. The midfield and the attack is so disjointed that once they get through our attack, let's say like every game we aren't gonna be able to press the goalkeeper to score a goal, right? Like that's not going to happen. And as soon as they cross it, either like there's just so much space between them, and Saka and Ceballos aren't the fastest players in the world. They can maybe do a job for one half, but then the second half it's going to be difficult because the players understand that they can play around them. They don't have the legs to sort of keep up, and I'm just not really sure that why we keep persisting with this two in midfield and losing control, because I don't think you need the attack, right? Like there's been times when in training you have 5 versus 11, 6 versus 11, and it's difficult for them to score. And why is it difficult? Because those many people are enough. You have to mark the spaces, you have to mark the people, and you have to defending should be the easier part of the job, and we make it look so difficult.
Yeah, if you don't have the talent, it's quite easy to show application. And that should be the first requirement of all coaches in the league. Alonso, on the road said, and I rightly agree with him. We had 5 days off. 5 days off, and we're resting an 18-year-old kid. I don't know if I said it backstage or already on the podcast, and I'm repeating myself, but it's worth repeating. You're switching up the team. You're taking one of your best players out of the lineup, and he's probably one kid who can play all of the games remaining and not have any physical effects on him.
Yeah, I think this is a game that he should have started, seeing how Spurs, and he's been a best player. And if I were Arteta, I would have played him on a left wing because that's his strength. That's his strength position.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened, and I personally would have played the 4-4-2 formation because to me that means more attacking, right? But we can't.
To Rohan's point, we almost were because Lacazette was dropping into midfield so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, I would like to have seen Saka start, but who knows what happened? Maybe it was because of minutes. Who knows? But I think he would have been more of a threat than maybe Pepe would have been to start the game. But when he first came on in the second half, he brought more of a threat, kind of. But again, he was non-existent. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows?
Hey, Rohan, when Aubameyang looks at this last 6 months that he's been at the club, and he's had a couple of opportunities to play through the middle, and Lacazette scored today, but Aubameyang could have played through the middle and was not afforded that opportunity. What do you think he's thinking right now?
I mean, the fact is that Lacazette sometimes went it so much in midfield that I saw Aubameyang taking up that space and running through the middle.
Yeah.
But he must think, what is the long-term vision of the manager? Is he going to persist with that back three? I don't think so. If he's not going to persist with it and he's going to play 3 midfielders, then Lacazette isn't required to drop in. And in that case, will I play through the middle, or will this out-of-form Lacazette going to play through the middle? And, all respect to him for the goal that he scored today. And I like him for his work rate. Clearly this is something that Arteta has been telling him to do. Otherwise, I mean, I don't think anybody can be afforded the luxury of doing whatever they want on the pitch, especially not as much as Lacazette does. But then Arteta needs to fix this. Why aren't you just playing another midfielder and play with the front two like a 3-5-2, sort of a formation. Do something like that. But you're just losing control, and Arteta needs to learn quickly from this. This was the chance that we could have won, and Mourinho's done us over again. And again with the defending with the corner kick. Why is Tierney marking Alderweireld? Like, he's a foot shorter than him.
Yeah.
Alderweireld is probably their best header of the ball. Why isn't the centre back going against a centre back?
I'll stay with you, Rohan, but I have something to talk to Stan about. But Rohan, you just brought up a great point about corner kicks. We saw on Tuesday night, the short corner routine that we got burned on against Brighton. Leicester were able to do that to us on Tuesday night. And are we learning from this? I think Arteta's got to be seeing this, but the players are just not. They're not mentally tuned in.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, the set pieces, man. We're getting undone by set pieces, and we don't score from set pieces either.
When I was playing, I was told
we don't really score from any set pieces anymore either. Whether it's a free kick or a corner.
When I was playing football, I was told when the whistle blows, that's when you come alive. You don't go dead when the whistle blows. You know what I mean? When there's a free kick given or a corner given, you don't have 2 minutes to just think about what you're going to get on your next shopping cart or whatever, or you're going to go out and get yourself the latest PS5 or whatever. Crazy.
I just wanted to go back also, if I may, just what you were saying about Saka and Lacazette. I mean, if we'd started with Saka in the team, who misses out? That means we take out Lacazette and we shift it all around to put Aubameyang central. But Lacazette,
I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying this. I would have taken the weakest link out of the team, and that would be Kolasinac. And I would have played Saka and Tierney some way on that left side.
But Lacazette, he scored. He got the goal. So I think the manager, you have to give the manager credit for doing that.
Yeah.
We got undone, and I keep saying it. We got undone by this individual error.
Yeah.
We just got done by this individual error, and we played quite badly after that as well. Aubameyang hit the bar. Fraction. That was a fraction, Yep. Individual errors are undoing us.
See, I'll tell you, it's a bigger problem than just individual errors, is because I just don't generally trust this team to score, to not concede a goal. They're going to concede a goal. So to win a game, you need to score at least 2. And
in the last 4 games, we only let in 1 goal, didn't we? We had the 3 clean sheets, and then we got 1 in against Leicester. We'd actually be looking quite tidy. We'd be looking quite secure.
Correct. So we did concede 1 goal, right? Even if today we conceded 1 goal, we'd still draw. We won't win, right? To win games, you need to score goals, and that's what we aren't doing. If we capitalized, if Aubameyang had his shooting boots on, if it was just a fraction lower, we could have been 2-1 up, and that would have changed the game then maybe. But the fact of the matter is that we know that we are going to concede. So that is why there's more pressure on our forwards to score.
Yeah, indeed. Talking about forwards here, James and Connor are having a discussion in the chats. James said Aubameyang really should have put that away. I mean, it's a tough chance, but he's the striker that we're talking about that can do that, and that was the one. I'm sure he's going to be kicking himself tonight about that. But this is the question at hand, Tanner. Connor's saying we are going through a tough time, but we are not a joke. Arteta has a vision for this team, and the board we will back him. I generally agree with what Connor's saying here as well. How much of it is that we're a joke club, or right now, or how much of it is we're just a joke club? You know what I mean? In general. Is it just a temporary situation until we get to the transfer window?
Can I take this one?
Yeah.
So we've been so fortunate in the past with Arsene Wenger and getting every Champions League spot we can for the past 21 years before finishing sixth that 1 year. And every top team goes through this, and it's having to be our turn. And it's unfortunate for the past 4 years, but it's a learning curve, and we had to get through this because it didn't go right with Emery, but I think Miguel Arteta has this club in the right direction, given the fact that we don't have any great defensive players right now. This is not his team. This was Emery's team. This is Arsene Wenger's team. And once he has his signing, I think we'll be on our way to better things. We have to, because we can't do as bad as we're doing right now. I mean, there has to be an escape route, and I think Arteta's a man, and we have to back him. And so do the Cronkies. I mean, that's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, take that on, Tanner. Basically, are we a joke club? Or are we just a joke club right now, Tanner?
That's harsh. A joke club, no, that's harsh. But we are in a state of flux right now. We are rebuilding. All the talk of, I see in the comments, been a joke since Kroenke came to the club in 2007. And, how do I want to tread lightly here. I don't want to, but, on the one hand, at some point, this fan base would have been screaming for a new stadium. And we got it. And we got it pretty early on in the timeline of new stadiums being built in England. But now we don't want him anymore. Well, you weren't getting the stadium without him, so which is it? The stadium wasn't coming if Kroenke didn't buy the team, and Usmanov, partnered up with him. That's just a fact. So, not a joke of a club. I don't like the way things have been run, but to say that we're a joke of a club, look, we're not Wigan. What's going on with Wigan Athletic, we're not there. There are far worse owners in sports than the Kroenkes and KSE. So it's just look, we've had
we were in a situation, Tanner. I think we were in a situation to help you out a little bit. Is Arsene Wenger was the full cake. Let's use a cake analogy, because I like to bake cakes once in a while. Arsene Wenger was the full cake, and now we have a situation. I don't know if you're still there, Tanner. Now we have a situation where we have all of the ingredients, but I'll go to Stan. Some of the ingredients are not quite right for the cake to taste good.
I think that when it comes to the money and about are we a joke club, what was it? Mesut Ozil was a record signing, wasn't he? 42.5 million. I don't know who the record signing was before him. Was it Sanchez?
No, 36.
Sanchez. It was Santi with 16, I think.
Okay, so from Santi Cazorla, we're down to Mesut Ozil at 42.5 million. And then next we broke our record again and spent, what was it, 50 million on Alexander Lacazette. Then we broke it again and we spent 55 million on Aubameyang. Yep. So how often does that happen when you see a club constantly breaking their the record that they play on a player so quickly? And now we're up to 72 million with an investment in Nicola Pepe. So there's an argument to be said that we are seeing to try and improve what we're doing, because we're constantly breaking our record on trying to bring in players. There is maybe an argument whether the money's been spent wisely. But I mean, look at the team that we had today. We know that the midfield is probably one of our worst parts of the team. Yet essentially, we've got two midfielders, both at either end of the spectrum, where you got one at Mesut Ozil being supposed to be our most talented footballer. For whatever reasons, we can't field him anymore. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we've got a young prospect who was supposed to be a shining light and was going to help take the club forward. He's not making himself available because he won't apologise for whatever reason. So he's not making himself available. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So our midfield is really threadbare if you look at it that way. So who else is there apart from who played today and who's on the bench?
Yeah, we are really thin in midfield as well. And I had a chat yesterday. Dave's LFC Chats is here. Dave, thanks for joining us. And he misheard me yesterday when I asked him how many Arsenal players would Liverpool like to take, would a Liverpool fan like to take. And I think we are in a bad state, right, Tanner? But we can take heart. There's 2 or 3, and I think he misheard me when I said Saka. He thought I said Xhaka, and he kind of laughed. I understand why he laughed, but they would take 3 or 4 of our players, and that's how we were going in the right direction, Tanner.
I think we're going in the right direction. I really do. And today's result notwithstanding, obviously we're all disappointed. But you come the end of the transfer window, at that point we'll see, I think, what ownership's ambition is. What are they willing to do? Because at this point now, 25 years of European football, 25 years of top 6 finishes. We are not going to finish in the top 6 this year. Ain't it? Sorry. Hate to burst your bubble, Gooner family, but it ain't happening.
Yeah.
8th, maybe 9th.
This morning I was looking at 6th place, but I can't say that now.
Nope. And so ownership now has to look at this and say, okay, something's got to change here because we are in a downward spiral.
Yep.
It's a combination of proper recruitment, spending the money on the right players that fit the system. I think we have the right manager in place in Arteta. I think he has a plan. I agree with everybody saying that the formation, the 3-4-3, it's a stopgap until next season when he gets in the players that he wants to play his system. I hate to say it, it's just you got to be patient.
Yeah, you're right, Alonso. I'll come to you in just 1 second, but Dave was preaching patience yesterday. Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool were in the position that we're in now 5 years ago, and they did amazing things, did everything right. 15 out of 19 of their transfers worked tremendously well for them. So we have to do the same thing, but it starts with patience. And, Liverpool finished 8th in 2015-16. So, Alonso, your point?
So my point was back to Tanner, what he had to say. This is not Arteta's team. This was Wenger's team. This was Emery's team. So you can't really fault him on because this is a project for him. Next year is when we see what Arteta's team really looks like, with the possibility of Taylor Huberman and going. So I don't see Clifton here next year. I don't see Mustafi here next year. If they were here, it's not Arteta's fault. It's people who it's Ross Handy's fault, whatever his name is, and the Conke's fault for that it just happened. But Arteta, we have to have him backed by the club, by us, the fans, and the owners. And yeah.
Tanner?
Sorry, I was looking in the comments, but the one thing I'll say is just be careful with the next year. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it may not be next year. It could be. We could get back into the top 6, but Champions League is not guaranteed. And Lee Dixon and Arlo White were they mentioned this in the broadcast earlier today. The top of the Premier League is good. These are good quality teams. Manchester United is on the up. They're on the come up again. They're going to spend a little bit of money, and that team is going to be better next year. Leicester City's not going anywhere anytime soon. Wolves will probably be hanging around. Sheffield will probably be on the periphery. So, look, we've gone from, there's been a consistent top 4 to a top 6. There's going to be a pretty consistent top 8 to 10 now, I think, in the Premier League. So it's not going to get any easier. And Thomas Partey is not the end-all, be-all of Arsenal's problems. He will be a massive enhancement on what we have in the midfield, but he's not the bow on top of the rack present by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And to me, this is what I don't understand is like, we often as a club go for players that are in Spain, France, Italy, and so on and so forth, right? So why can't we just look at players from different clubs, whether it be Premier League or Championship League or whatever? This is what I don't understand. It's like we always have to go for players for every country, and it's frustrating because there is some talent in the Premier League with players that you get, and they come in their cheap, and so we need to spend a lot of money on just one player.
I look at it this way. I mean, that's wanting to sound too cynical, and if you want to sort of like put it into something that's tangible, those football players between now and the end of the season are basically paying for a 7% increase on their wages if they can get into the Europa spot, because they've had 12.5% wiped out, but they know that if they get into the Europa League, they get 7% back. Yeah, that's not a bad incentive. 7%. They couldn't even get themselves up for that. That's what it looks like to me. It's like you're playing for 7%. That's something that's tangible, right? That's like a monetary amount. 7%, and they're not even able to do that. I mean, what more of an incentive? I mean, it's got to the stage where we've whittled it down to a callous incentive of pounds, shillings, and pence. This is what you're playing for, lads, and they've not been able to do that. That's quite stark to me.
Yeah.
If you want to put it in a personal, do you know what I mean?
Rohan, I just want to ask you a question. James and Connor are going back and forth in the comments section, and they each have their own opinion. One of them said that Kane could have scored that chance that Aubameyang hit the crossbar over. I don't think that's quite true myself.
He could have, but he could have missed it. I mean, who knows? Like,
Ifs and buts, right? That's what Tanner always says. Ifs and buts.
Exactly.
What about that other shot where
expected? Sorry.
Sorry. I was just going to say there was another shot where it was a cross into the box. Was it from Saka? And it looked like Aubameyang could have just taken a quick shot, and it looked like he scuffed it, but at the same time it looked like he tried to flick it on, and then the ball ended up going all the way out to the other side of the penalty area. And I thought to myself, what is going on here? The ball came in really nicely, and all he had to do was just one time, and I don't know whether he scuffed his shot, got it wrong, or actually tried to flick it away from the goal to someone else to the side. It was...
And
he had 2 or 3 chances today with the Bellerin cutback, with the chance that he hit the crossbar, with the that stand.
Couldn't get his feet sorted.
With the chance that, which was a good shot actually, and a difficult one. Actually, the most difficult one of the lot was when it came to him on the volley and he side-footed it, and Luiz made a great save on his left. That was a great shot,
Yeah, that was going in. That was going in as well.
But he had to score that.
And here's a great point from Dave.
Was a good save. Like, they showed an angle from behind the goal, and it was going in. It was a good save.
Yeah, it was a great save from Hugo Lloris. Here's a comment from Dave. You guys don't want to be in the Europa League. I mean, he's just saying that it would be better to build without any European competition next season. It always astounds me, though. It's like counterintuitive. We want to maybe do the best with what we have. We're not just going to throw the games, are we?
But here's the argue to what Dave just said there. It's different for Liverpool. When Liverpool had that season when they were out of Europe, that was a blip. They were in it the season before, they were out a season, and then they got back in. We've been in the Europa League for how long? We've not even been in the Champions League. We've been we've been at the lower table. In our little baby chairs at the small table.
Yeah, but
you're not allowed to be with the parents. We've been at the small table that they set up for you in the restaurant with the kiddie menu. And now we can't even get into that. So it's not a fair comparison. With Liverpool, it was a blip. They were in it. They were in the big table, the league the year before. They were out. Then they were back in. Us, we've been so far away from the Champions League now, and now we're even further away. It's even more out of reach.
We've been drifting further away from everything, Stan. You're exactly right.
But I think, Stan, it has been shown if a club, be it Chelsea or Leicester or Tottenham or whoever, have not been in Europe for a season, they have benefited from that extra rest week in, week out. And a lot of Arsenal fans feel that way about it.
And they also benefited from having better players.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, this result means the club has to act defensively.
It's the mindset. Sorry, I don't want to jump in. I just want to say it's the mindset. You know, people, we've accepted that we're not in the Champions League now. We're accepting that we're in the Europa League, that we're not good enough for the Champions League. Now you're kind of saying we should now accept that we shouldn't be in Europe at all. And is that the mindset now that we're just a league team? Do you know what I'm getting at? Let's not accept that. Yeah. It's not acceptable. Yeah. It's not.
I think it's interesting, man, the way that the fan base flip-flops, because if you root against Arsenal, if you're an Arsenal fan and you root against them for any reason whatsoever, you're not a real fan. How dare you root against your club? Yet there are fans who will say that to you and then say, I don't want European football. So you're hoping that Arsenal lose to Man City in a week.
I can't do that.
That makes absolutely no sense to me. It does make sense to root against your club to a degree when you know that there's a problem and you know that the only way it's going to get fixed is to hit rock bottom. It's like everything else in life. So that I get, but don't preach to me or anybody for that matter about, you never root against your club. And in the moment, I will never root against them. I may say, yeah, you know what? No, they need to lose this game. We need to lose this game for whatever reason. But I'll never root against them because in the moment, it's like, nah, I can't do it. You know, we scored. I mean, I smacked my knee off my coffee table when that Lacazette shot went in this morning. And but European football and Champions League, that is, and the league title, Champions League qualification, and then winning the Champions League. Those are the three goals every single year. And then you break it down from there, and it's just win this match or win this half and win that ball. That's what it is. That's all it is.
You know, if there's some positive that I can take from this game is that, that Arteta can understand what the character of the team is, right? If he was thinking of giving Mustafi a new deal, he should understand that he's not good enough. He needs to get out of the club. He needs to understand this midfield, this partnership is not working. I don't know why he's not playing Torreira, who's the only actual defensive midfielder that we have. Iron all of this out, understand where we are at, and try to build from there. These are the things that we have to learn. I've said this a few weeks ago, and I will say it again, that right now, this season was a write-off anyway. But right now, it's trial time, right? It is trial for all of these guys. These are tryouts. And all of them are failing miserably in this tryout, really.
Yeah. And it's down to the club, Tony. Tony, it's down to the club in terms of how they're going to cut their cloth in this transfer window. As much as we would like to, we can't get rid of all of these bad players, bad cogs in the machine.
And it kind of surprises me how many people say we need a fire sale, but you can't get rid of that many players and bring in a dozen players. It just doesn't work that way. Yesterday in the podcast, we talked about how Liverpool did it. They had to persevere with Moreno, Aldo Moreno, and Dejan Lovren. And those are players that our Liverpool fans knew were not good enough, but they had to persevere with him. And those two players, especially for a couple of seasons. Alonso?
But it's funny because I I remember when you finished second to Leicester that year, I think 2015-16 season, and we brought in Mustafi, we brought in Saka to help us out, to make us stronger, right? Then next year we bring in and it ain't worked out. And I think it stems from scouting. I think it starts from that. It starts from, at the time, Gazetta's being sold on them when we could have easily gotten better players. And it's just kind of unfortunate how we're not stuck with them until next year or the year after that. So, it kind of, it's weird how that happens, but, this is why we should just look into buying players from England, because they know what it takes. They see that ambition, trophies,
And who of us thinks we're going to go out and get Max Aarons at this point in time?
It's such a shot.
A newly relegated team with 3 or 4 players that could easily be transferred, or Todd Cantwell or Max Aarons. And you just know Arsenal's not going to go out and do that and get those players from the Premiership, proven Premiership players, albeit performed at different levels throughout the season. But into the second half, like we say, Aubameyang had the chance in 59 minutes. I think it was a turning point. Let's go through the game a little bit from this point onwards. So it's 60 minutes. I felt, Rohan, that Mourinho had sent his players out with a specific plan to foul by committee. So there's a lot of yellow cards going around, but none of them being second yellow cards for Reds,
Which is what I thought, that once Davis had got the yellow card, then Pepe should have been running at him.
Yeah.
Make him foul you. How many times will he get through? But yeah, Winks was fouling continuously. Lo Celso was fouling continuously, and they were very smart with their fouls. And whenever we did it, we sort of got a card, because Lo Celso did it, and then Lacazette did it, and Lacazette got a card, and Kane didn't get a card when he did it. So it is that sort of a mindset with what the game was progressing, but we just weren't strong enough mentally. We were weak, and I just want to point out that this Leicester team that we had been bigging up so much are currently losing 4-1 to Bournemouth. They are losing 4-1 to Bournemouth. They are conceding stupid goals. They are Kasper Schmeichel has made an error for one of these goals. So this is the standard. We can't beat them, and we should be happy with that 1 point and getting a 1-1 draw. And Bournemouth, who's in the relegation battle, have put in 4.
Exactly.
Thanks, Dave, for stopping by. Gotta go. Talk soon, and we'll take time. Will the board give Arteta time? And I believe the board will give Arteta time. It's got to be a project, Tanner. It's got to be a project that they've got to stick with for 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, for sure. And good little segue there from Dave, because I actually have to run as well. So I'll give kind of my final thoughts. But, Ray, I'm going to disagree with you on the turning point of the game. I actually thought it was Kolasinac who just passed back to Luiz. Because as soon as that ball goes in the back of the net, you could see the proverbial air come. And it was a bit strange, because I actually thought the air came out of both teams. Because it's like, it almost felt like Spurs got that. I can't believe I just said that word.
Spurs.
Yeah.
Scum.
Thank you. Like they were content. They got the goal back, and now they're content to just ride this thing out. That's how it felt to me for a long time. The Aubameyang miss off the crossbar. I honestly, I think the tide turned when the Scum leveled things up.
But that was in the 19th minute.
And it just felt like that to me, because
and Tanner, I'll leave you with one thing. When I remember your reaction when I said we only played for 20 minutes against Leicester, between the 20th and 40th minute. So I'll take on board what you're saying, that the tide turned when Kolasinac did that.
I was real disappointed in the way we came out today and played the match as a whole. I just didn't think there was a lot of energy there. And everybody has made the point. We had 5 days off. They played 2 matches in the time span, or 2? No. Because they played Monday and Thursday, right? So we played Tuesday, they played Thursday. So they had 2 days rest. We had 5.
Yeah.
5 days. And this is the performance that we come out with. That's just down to effort for me. That's what's disappointing about it, So that's all I got, guys. I'm sure we'll all catch up later. Everybody in the comments, thanks for being there.
See you later, mate. Take it easy.
We'll catch up.
Catch you in the next one.
Yep, later.
Liverpool is the next one. It gets easier, Stan. We got Liverpool and City.
Yeah, exactly.
A bright note.
The City is at the semi-final.
Yeah.
Yeah, semi-final at the weekend, Saturday.
I was talking to a mate of mine about that, and he said, "You know what, Stan?" He goes, "I've not been this worried about a semi since I was watching Breakback Mountain." There you go. But I just want to what the assembled said. Max Aarons won't go to Arsenal if he has to choose between us and any of the other top 5 teams. I don't even think Max Aarons will get the choice about Arsenal, because we've got 3 players that play in that position now. We've got Hector Bellerin, Cedric, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And I think if anyone's going to be leaving out of those 3, I'd put my money on Ainsley Maitland-Niles. So I don't even think a right back right now is even going to be discussed. So, whether you like Hector Bellerin or not, or whether you think Max Aarons is a better player, the fact that we've got 3 players in that position, that's not a priority. Not at all.
It's not even the fact that now we don't need Aarons. I think with the way Bellerin was decent today. Bellerin was bad. I thought that he was good. He was taking on players. He was running behind the ball. He was doing everything.
And why do you think that is, though? Why do you think we've suddenly seen an upturn in his game?
Because he knows that his position is under threat.
Exactly.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
100% agree with you on that. He has, and he's just leveled up his game. So that's not what is required. But people like us, armchair managers, can understand that there are just a few positions. Get a couple of guys in midfield, get another centre back, and maybe we are much better. And to get that money also, we are telling everyone how to generate that money. Sell Kolasinac, sell Mustafi, sell Lacazette. These are players that can sell Socrates. These are players that could generate some amount of cash, and then use it to get those other players. How difficult is that, really?
I think it's just the watchword really is patience, and it's very difficult when we have a result like that, when we have a lack of application, desire, performance, with 2 days extra preparation. I wonder if there was a lot of preparation. We have to see about that. And the other thing is, you go a goal up, and if you don't score another goal, you don't concede a goal. You know what I mean?
Well, we didn't have a chance. It was like 2 minutes later. It wasn't like, we scored and then it's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and we're still at 1-0. It was literally like by the time you saw the replays and finished celebrating and high-fiving the person next to you, then they scored.
It's like they felt really agony of defeat.
We didn't even really have a chance to savour the goal. You know what I mean?
That's how their attitude is, right? They're just so happy to score that 1 goal. Oh God, we're ahead. We might win this thing. That's what they're thinking. They don't have that mentality, killer mentality of going in and saying, now we need to get a second because they're going to come on to us. We need to defend for the next 5-10 minutes, weather the storm, hit them on the counter, score a second, score a third. No, we're content with the fact that we score 1 goal. We're content with the fact that, that we're okay, misplacing passes and causing goals and giving away penalties and conceding unforced errors. We're okay with all of that, and it's acceptable at Arsenal Football Club.
But what's funny? There's no excuse how Tottenham hit no shots on goal against Bournemouth, that Bournemouth are basically beating the crap out of Leicester. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
how bad can we be?
Let me explain that to you a little bit. And I didn't think this would happen too much because there's no crowds in the stadiums. But you have a team that's desperate to win and stay in the Premier League in Bournemouth, and they're running out of chances to win games. So they're beating Leicester right now. Tottenham were abject against Bournemouth, and you got to say they came with some kind of a plan to beat us today. They were fouling by committee, and the fine margins in football. They got the goal from the corner kick, and they sort of could have tacked on another goal as well. Just to add to Don Juan here, this is like a merry-go-round. Wasn't Stan bottom right on the screen? Wasn't Tony top right? Wasn't Alonso bottom left?
Do you know why we do that? Don Juan, do you know why we do that? We do that to keep you lot on your toes, just to make sure that you're paying attention. So, well noticed, top man.
And check out Thursday night because there was 7 of us and there was
Musical cheers.
sin bins
That
involved.
was fun. That was fun.
People were getting dumped out left, right, and center, Don, just for saying the wrong words. You know what I mean? I jest a little bit. My notes here, Rohan. My notes are: in the 70th minute, Son has a shot that's saved by Martinez. My note is wake up call. That's a wake up call. We need to do something. 74 minutes, Ceballos is screaming at his teammates in the right back position because they're not getting back. The warning signs are there.
It's like it's a set of individuals who are playing that game. Like I said, right? Like they don't seem like a team. They don't seem like they've been drilled. They don't seem like they want to win. They don't have passion. They don't have desire. They don't and I'll tell you why that is. They are paid handsomely, and it does not matter if they win or lose. They will still be paid. Do you think these guys are caring about it right now and talking with each other and thinking about what's gone wrong? No, they're going to go back home and look at their shiny cars, and they're going to look at their $1 million mansions, multi-million-dollar mansions, and be happy about it because they think like they're milking it here. And then when they leave, they're going to say that, oh, it was so easy at Arsenal. There wasn't a winning mentality. People weren't serious about winning. That's not a serious club, this, that, and the other. But why aren't you making it a serious club when you're here? Reports would say that these players have told Tierney to turn his
just a little bit, yeah,
couple of notches.
15-20%.
Can I ask a question, right? Can I ask a question, right? Let's take this game out of context a minute because it is the derby, and obviously we hate losing the derby. But let's look at the games that we've played since football has come back, and let's try and look at it in the context of those games. The first game against City was a loss. The next game, Brighton, was the score there.
Gonna lose a date.
2-1.
94 minutes.
Yeah, lost. Then the next game, we won. We kept a clean sheet, didn't we?
Southampton, yeah.
Southampton.
And then after that, another clean sheet.
Cup game. Then we beat Norwich.
Sheffield 2-1. Then we played Southampton. Then we played
Norwich
4-0. And then we drew to Leicester. Wolves, we won 2-0. And then Leicester.
And then today, and then a loss today. So putting this game in the context of all of the other games that we've played, how do you think that we've done what was available to us? Do you think we've underachieved, or do you think we are where we probably should be, or have we overachieved with the points that have been available?
We should have really beaten Brighton. We all know what happened there.
Should have beaten Brighton.
I would have taken maybe a draw here, so I would think we should be 4 points better off.
We should have beaten Brighton. We should have beaten Leicester. A draw here, maybe in the larger scheme of things, would have been okay because then we would have had an extra 5 points anyway. But and you could have a day off. I can understand that. You have days off. And which is why I don't get the concept of when people,
not on Derby Day though.
Yeah, so when people say right like that. Oh, out of these 2 matches, would you have taken 4 points out of these 2 matches? Yeah, but then there are other easier matches when you're going to have such difficult games, and then you're not going to be able to score there. You have to take your chances when they arise. This was a poor Tottenham team. We didn't beat them.
So
we did well against Leicester and we didn't beat them.
So we've dropped points at Brighton. We've dropped points at Leicester because maybe going into the game we'd be looking at a draw, but as the game was being played, we should have won that, right? We all agree. We missed those early chances. We went down to 10, so we dropped points there. And today we should at least have come away with a draw. At least come away with a draw.
I think 4 more points.
So 4 points. Okay. Interesting.
And I agree with Connor here. We are in a process of changing the culture at the club. And obviously, half of this team will not see 3 years with the club. At least half of this team. I think if we look back at this result in 3 years from now, Tony, 3 years from now, we're not going to see a lot of these players.
Yeah, there'll probably be maybe 3 or 4 of them that started today that will be there.
Tony, another stat from today, from the whole season, really, we've lost 21 points from winning positions. That's atrocious. 21 points.
We lack any killer instinct. And today, it really wasn't about the team. It was more about individual errors. To me, I think we started off the second half strong like we should have. Just silly, stupid fucking mistakes cost us.
Yeah. How big of a job does Arteta have now, Rohan? Did the job get a little bit bigger after this game? Will this have shown him?
I think
will this have shown him something more than he thought? Will he learn something from this?
It's easier for him now because he knows that the players aren't good enough. If there was any doubt that Mustafi was good enough, now he knows that he's not. If he had any doubt on the fact that whether 2 in the midfield was going to work, he should know by now that it does not work. And persisting again and again with the same issue that we can see from here is making me doubt Arteta. I'm not doubting him. I will start judging him from game week 1 of next season.
Yeah.
But he has to learn. You can't just let games pass you by like that. And these players need to be reprimanded for silly schoolboy errors that they're making.
And also, stay with Rohan. You look at the bench. There's not a lot really you can do with our bench. We have problems with midfield players due to discipline. I'm not necessarily saying they would have been able to help us today either. But when you look at the bench, you have 2 or 3 players that you could probably say could affect the game, but not 4 others on the bench.
Not really. But, given the players, like I have said, I would have rather played, with Torreira also in midfield and maybe taken out Lacazette and played with 2 up front, Pepe and Aubameyang up front, or any of the or Lacazette and Aubameyang up front. That would at least give us more focal point. We need to understand that there's just so much defensive frailty that we are going to concede, and if we want to win, we are going to score goals. And with that, you can give instructions to Taney that you don't run amok, so forward. And I know that his crossing is his attribute, but they have the pace. We've had 2 extra days. We should have been showing the desire, but we just didn't. And we have to pick it up. And another thing that I want to say is about this whole process thing, right? We are in a process of change. This process is like watching paint dry, right? Like, I am all for process, but for the last 15 years, we've been hearing that we are in transition, we are in process, we are, going to get there. And I've just had enough of that.
I'm fed up of it's like a TED talk. I'm fed up of hearing that there's a clear plan.
I don't know if you can say it.
Like the same, we know what we're doing and we have this clear plan. Well, just tell us what it is. Is it that much of a secret? Is it, if everybody else knows the plan, will we get undone? Give us a little bit of the plan. Don't tell us all of it. But they say they've got a clear plan. What I'm seeing on the football pitch, sometimes it's clear as mud to me at times. Right, I understand that he's had to go to 5 at the back, and I like the way that he saw the deficiencies of the team and thought, right, you know what, we're not going to be able to play the football that I want to play. We ain't going to do city ball just yet. It's not happening. Not with these donuts I've got in the team. Right, I have to try and sort, and I like that. Right, I like that, but some of the substitutions as well, the times of it. I mean, we've got more players on the bench now. And he looks more reluctant to use them.
And they come on too late. You know, it's like, what are you guys doing? You know? And, you know, like Stan, you know, like, why is he still playing Mustafi in this match? You know, it's like, it's things like that kind of frustrate me, you know, and it's like, if it's not working today, then we're just going to do like Wednesday when we play Liverpool. You know, it's like, is he going to start Mustafi and Cousins again? You know, it's like, these changes have to be made, whether it be drastically or the next game. And it's like, I want to see Rob Holding back, you know. Just
and to the assembled, right? I'm not glossing over nothing. He says, I'm trying to gloss over it. Arsenal not good enough, yes or no? I was just trying to look at, rather than just looking at this one game, I wanted to have a look at since football's been back. And it hasn't been good enough because we should have won at Leicester. We should have beaten
I'm gonna summarize it. Yeah, we're not saying this is good enough, and
no, not at all. No.
In fact, Stan, if anything, I've been saying it more than you have. You're saying it's not acceptable to keep dropping out of the top 4, out of the top 6.
No.
And I'm the one that's posing the question: should we? It feels terrible to say that because I always back Arsenal. I always want them to win, but should we? Me as the host asking the question: should we drop out of this European competition in order for us to get better? You know.
So what I think on that point, and you know, my view on that is that we want, as Arsenal fans, we want to win every game, right? We would want to win every game, and I want to finish as high up on the table as possible. But if there was a method, which it's not, to finish as high as possible, but either play the Champions League or not play Europe at all, I'm okay with it. You know, I know that the Europa League gives chance to youngsters. I know that we need the money, but if these constraints weren't there, I feel like we would just have more time to prepare. This team needs to be drilled for each game, you know, but you know, today's game has even proved that even if we have 2 extra days, we are not able to prepare and we are not able to. I don't know where we are at right now.
And to what we were just talking about a little bit before with Stan, just going through what we've done since we come back. Out of 7 games, which is 21 points available, we've garnered 10 of those points. 3 wins, 1 draw, and 3 defeats. And before we were talking about this before, and I was targeting, I think, 19 points, 6 wins and a draw. And we'll get there if we win the next 3 games, that's for sure. But we only have 3 games left. We got to beat Liverpool. I think we can win the last 2 games. So, yeah, that's not good. But Tony's been doing a little bit of research here. We've got the press conference, and thanks, Tony, for putting all of that in here. There's a little bit of text, a little bit of paragraph here. Arteta on the loss. I'm sorry for the fans because I know how much it means to all of them. We were very willing to give them a big moment of happiness, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, but we could not do that. It's 15 points dropped from winning position since you arrived. What is that down to? ? Game management, a few things. There have been various things since I joined that cost us games. I cannot just single out one of them, but a few of the ones you mentioned are involved. And then finally, they go on to ask, what do you mean by that? Some are errors. Sometimes it's game management. Sometimes it's a set piece. Sometimes it's an individual error. But look at the margin that we have. 15 points is a lot, and that means we are fighting and competing in every game. We are very close, but the margin to win, lose, or draw is sometimes small, and the moment we have to improve on that. And then, Tony, you've been working overtime here. He goes on to say,
makes a change.
A couple more paragraphs. 9 of the 17 goals conceded since you arrived have come in the 70th minute or beyond. That's a big stat. Over half of the goals have come in the last 15 minutes. Is that fatigue? It could be. Sometimes errors are led by fatigue, but we had some errors where it wasn't about that last match. It was about attention or playing a short corner or not picking up your man on a corner, just having an individual error, or just because the opponent in this league pushes you in the last 15 minutes, you have to suffer, and sometimes you concede. We will look at that with more. Rob Holding hasn't started since Southampton. Like Kolasinac is playing at centre back. What's the reasoning? Question mark. Sometimes the positioning, sometimes the momentum of the players, or their form, I guess. When we don't concede in 3 or 4 games in a row, everything is really positive. And obviously, when we concede 2 goals like today, we are not playing somebody where we are not playing somebody else. Rob has done really well when we demand him to play, and he will be ready again to play when we demand him to do so, I'm sure. And that's it. Comments?
I just saw the stat on TV that we have dropped, actually this whole season, we have dropped 21 points from winning positions. 20.
Yep.
We are second in that table after Bournemouth, who dropped 24. 21 points. It just
We're
half of those points.
we are at the top of all of the wrong charts. We're at the top of the amount of points we dropped from winning positions. We're at the bottom of the league in terms of fair play, which means we get penalised more than any other team in the league. And we're mid-table. Well, we have to accept it. We have to move forward, right?
There's another way of looking at this as well, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic, although it kind of does have a sarcastic ring to it, but that's not the intention. So I'm going to try and take the treble off of it a little bit. But when you appoint a manager that's never done this job before, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be teething problems.
Yep.
You know, what do you expect him to do? Walk in and just go unbeaten forever? I did that on FIFA, but I have the luxury of being able to set the difficulty to amateur or beginner to tailor it to my skill level.
Tony, when did we come back? Early June, right? So we're at the month now, right?
Not only is it his first season, but let's have a look at the season that he's walked into. When he decided to take the Arsenal job on, did he think that there was going to be this lockdown scenario where there'd be all of this lockdown stuff? And look how even football's being presented now. It's not only have we got a manager that's doing this for the first time, he's had to do it under these circumstances. And you have to give that some consideration as well. You know what I mean? And your consideration has to be, well, if you're going to appoint a manager that's never done it before, you've got to be able to suck it up when he makes mistakes.
I think most Arsenal fans went into the season with that understanding, Stan, right? I
don't know. You know, Arteta out is trending.
Well, I mean, you're going to have every generation. You have and you know, I got to call out what happened today with Wilfried Zaha. And the fan base is just very, very bad. And what happened was you had a 12-year-old tweeting racist stuff at Wilfried Zaha. I'm happy that the police have went and found that kid and arrested him. A message has to be sent that you can't sit behind the keyboard or your phone and have that kind of mentality. Even if you're 12 years old, there has to be a message sent out. But the wider context of this is to say our fan base is multi-generational, Stan. Hopefully we got some kids who are Arsenal fans as well, but they're going to take everything much more differently. I used to get much more pissed off about Arsenal losing, and I've been able to put it in context over the years. But you're going to have different aspects to the fan base then.
Well, look what happened to Alexander Lacazette when he scored his first away goal in the other game. You know, he put out a message on Instagram saying how I'm really relieved to do that. You know, sort of an attitude, thanks to all my teammates and my friends, kind of thing. And people were just saying, I hope you get COVID and die. And that's the tamest one. There were ones worse than that I can't say. That's the tamest one that I can say on air. I hope you get COVID and die. Maybe it's people from other fan bases, but even so, we're talking about human beings here. Why would you wish that on anybody?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, all of our players that go out, we're going to support all of them. We like all of the players. It's just their abilities are different, and some of them are definitely need to get moved on. It's a business, and we got to do it. Tony, Mourinho won the battle, but Arteta will win the war, and I believe that as well, Tony.
Yeah, to me, I think we still dropped 3 points today. We came out in the second half like we should have, just stupid individual mistakes. Hopefully Arteta gets the troops together. Hopefully he gets the board back in the summer, give the players we need.
Exactly. Alonso, until that happens, until what Tony is saying happens, we start getting players in, start turning things around. What Don Juan says, a lot of fans will believe. We've heard it all before in the last decade. It's up to the club now to change things.
Well, one thing that we need to do is just have players buy into not only Arteta's vision, but also the Arsenal way. And I think that that's been lost for a while now. And I guarantee you, if it was someone from the Invincible days or Sol Campbell or Patrick Vieira, someone like that, like Tony Adams, I guarantee you this will not be acceptable. And this is the players that need to change my mindset. I mean, like Rohan said, they're on so many wages that they don't even care anymore about wearing the badge or wearing the kit anymore. They worry about getting paid and how many years they're staying at Arsenal, because for so long they just laugh and crack jokes. But that wouldn't be acceptable under George Graham or Arsene Wenger early on in his coaching career at Arsenal. So I mean, there's got to be some kind of
buy-in, right?
Yeah,
Rohan, that's a great. Alonso made a great point there. Arteta and the club can do so much, and they can change players here and there, but it's the players in the dressing room that have to almost police each other and start holding each other accountable. Like, I want Tierney to be more vocal in that dressing room. If it's true that some of our players were telling Tierney to tone it down, I really hope Tierney was saying, well, this is how it's done. This is how you're going to be. I've come from a club who's been successful. You know what I mean? In Celtic.
These guys are soft, and these guys are just, they just do it for the money. They don't have any pride or passion. They don't want to win trophies. They don't want to do anything. They're content with just being also Rans, right? I had said this. I was saying this to my friend. I was speaking to him the other day, and in my memory of being an Arsenal fan for the last 17, 18 years, this is the biggest transfer window. Because if we don't capitalize now, Wolves are a better team than us, Leicester are a better team than us, Manchester United will spend big, Chelsea are already spending, City will spend, given FFP restrictions, Liverpool are far ahead. Sheffield are a better team than us, right? Team. I'm not saying they're a bigger club than us, but they are a better team than us.
I know where you're coming from. Yep.
So, given all of this, if we don't capitalize in this market when the FFP restrictions are off, we have players that we can sell. There could be situation that we could pick up players, on a cheap. If we don't do this season, we will not come back into the Champions League and into the fray for the next years. We will just get drawn into mid-table mediocrity. I can understand, it'll become like, I understand why people are Everton fans, and that's because Everton has a great history, etc., and people are from that part of the world. But people from other part of the world, I sometimes think, like, why would they support Everton? Because they in recent memory, there, and with all due respect, there's nothing against Everton, but why should an international fan become a fan of theirs? A new generation fan become a fan of theirs. And
I think it's a generational thing. Every father is going to want their kid to be an Arsenal fan. They know what they're subjecting them to as well.
Exactly. So in this transfer window, if we don't get it right, we risk being in 7th, 8th, 9th position for the next years.
Yeah.
This is big.
Tony, take that question there from Thunder Road. And Thunder Road,
26th of July.
26th of July, the window opens. All right, that's 2 weeks exactly. All right?
Yep.
And when is the next season supposed to start?
Either the 22nd, 29th, or September 12th.
Yeah, I'd heard maybe September 12th, but I think there's going to be internationals as well. So I don't know how they're going to navigate. Or maybe even the internationals might not happen at this point in time. And I agree with you, Rohan. I agree with you. Back in January, I was thinking this summer window, we didn't know how COVID was going to interfere with the world and economics as such. Yep. This was a very, very important transfer window for Arsenal.
It's the most important window in my lifetime of being an Arsenal fan.
It's kind of make or break. I mean, a lot of us fans are coming to the end of our tether with Arsenal, but I'm seeing some things like Tierney, the ambition in Pepe, a couple of other things that I'm Saka, Martinelli, things that I can hold on to, and that's what we need.
I was just going to say, if we're going to give people like Martinelli and Saka these contracts, and we're also going to try and secure someone like Aubameyang to a contract and perhaps see himself out with Arsenal, then we need to add to these players.
Yeah,
because it's all right for Aubameyang in a couple of years if he stays and goes, but someone like Tierney, Saka or Martinelli, when it's time to renew them, they'll probably be like, "There's no way." I've been stagnating for that last contract. I've just been stagnating here. I'm not falling for that again. So we need to show willingness. We need to show intent. And it must be games like yesterday's game. If you're a player like Aubameyang, it's games like yesterday where you may just think before you put pen to paper, you might think, hold on a minute. How many more games am I going to play where I'm scoring goals and I've got those donuts at the back, passing back to the keeper and letting him in and just undoing it all? Because there's got to be a breaking point when you're like, you take a step back, you take two back. Sorry, take a step forward, you take two back. Yeah. How long will you tolerate that for? Something's got to change. And so as Rohan said, this is going to be it's funny. I said it for the last window when it was Emery, right? Because we had a new manager there when it was the Emery window. That's going to be a really important window. But here we are again with the first real window of this new manager. And when that window slams shut, we're going to know. There'll be no excuses. We are going to know either the club are backing him, or we're going to find out that Mikel Arteta has some weird people on his shopping list. Do you know what I'm getting at? We're going to all of these questions that we've been asking when that window slams shut, because there's no going back from then. That's what we've got to deal with for the next season. We're going to have a really good idea of where we are, and I can't wait. The next 2 weeks can't come quick enough for me.
Now, one question I was just thinking about that you said, Stan. Stan, do you think that we should run the rule over players that have not played very much? Rob Holding and maybe a couple other defensive players? Because we're going to – okay, Alonso, you want to take that? We're going to need to run the rule over Rob Holding and a couple of others.
We got to because I mean we got to lose now. I mean, if you think about it, Villa's not doing that great. Neither is Bournemouth. Well, Bournemouth won today, but these are teams we should beat. Not even beat, but beat bad.
Should beat Villa. We should beat
Right.
Watford.
Yes. So why not give hope of holding a shot? You know, and sit down to listen and give out players like Rick Nelson and Joe Willock a certain position. You know, just to see how they do. You know, I mean, you can't get any worse. So, and give Eddie a shot when he comes back because to me, this is my opinion. I think Eddie's going to have a good year next year, or at least he should get more of a go next year. So the time is now. I mean, because they're a very talented youngsters.
Right, exactly.
We shouldn't give up on Luiz Nelson either. And the one that I can't wait to see is Emil Smith Rowe because I think he too has something to offer next year.
Yeah, I'd love to see him come back as well, and a little bit of creativity in midfield. Rohan, a couple more points before we get out of here. Do you think Aubameyang has already had that discussion with Arteta in terms of where he's going to play and what's the future for him?
Maybe.
Or should he have that discussion if he hasn't already?
Yeah, he should. I mean, if we want him to sign this new contract, then he must have discussed something. And the murmurs are that it's positive. It's looking positive for him to sign. So if that is true, then he should know what the position is. I don't think that he, as a 31-year-old, will want to continuously for the next 2-3 years want to play on the left and want to keep tracking back. You know, he has to look after himself, and you know, we have an asset in the team who can play that position. We're stop trying to fit people in. You know, we have a striker who doesn't do striking business, he does midfield. We have a left wing who does the striker's job. We have a right wing who we want to do right back's job. Like, why aren't people just doing that?
I think somebody used the word bipolar in the last podcast. So we are a very bipolar team, and we have stopgaps all over the pitch. You know, Stan, look ahead. What do you see for the rest of the season? Liverpool at home, Aston Villa away, and we finish with Watford at home, and then the little matter of an FA Cup semi-final.
It all depends on which way Mikel Arteta wants to play. Does he still want to go out and keep fighting for every single point? Like this season still matters and there's something that we can get out of it? Or does he want to say, you know what, let's just, we're not going to get into Europe. Let's use some more players in the team. Let me use it as an opportunity so I can make some decisions. Is there someone like a Daniel Ballard or a Zach Medley that might be ready for next season? Can I have a look at them now by letting them know that not to feel any pressure in these games? I don't know. It all depends how he wants to play it. Personally, what I would be doing is still fighting for every point. You know, if we're not going to make that sixth place, I'd rather that we missed out by 1 or 2 points and it looked like that we were trying to battle for it, rather than we kind of look arrogant and it's like, well, we weren't battling for 6 anyway. So the fact that we're finishing in 9th, that's arrogant. Do you know what I'm getting at? That's arrogant. I want to see him fight for every point to the last game. Thank you.
Yeah. Tony, some final thoughts. We're going to get out of here then.
Going back to what Stan said, I put all the eggs in the FA Cup basket since it's really our only realistic chance of Europe next season. It's a skip out of a Don Juan award. We'll move on.
Alonso, how do we move on from this defeat? This one's going to hurt for a little bit. For me, it shows that the club, whatever they were thinking about this very, very important transfer window, that I think they're going to have to step it up a little bit more and cut a little bit more fat off and bring someone else in if they weren't already thinking that way.
I think that Arteta needs to bring in his best 11, not just ragtag group of 11 starters that were just on the pitch, you know. I think that if they want to really take a look at this team, that he should just know that the players he has now, they have to be honorable and fight for a badge, and that's what he has to do. It has to make him just. He has to make the players take responsibility for their losses and their bad habits, and hopefully make a go out of it. Because, like you guys said, this is the tryout for him now. This is the tryouts that he's looking for to see if they want to be back next year or not. That's just what I feel.
Yeah, Rohan, I wonder if I'm Sayed Kolasinac, I'm thinking, I know I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be here in a couple of years. Do you even try? Do you even try to be better?
It's not. We shouldn't leave the option with him. We should be in the position to make that decision, right? And
he has the option when he plays to not make mistakes like he did. That's the option he has.
I agree with Stan when he says that that we should fight for every point. I want Arsenal to win every match that they play, even if it's a friendly, even if it's like Arsenal playing five-a-side or whatever. I would want them to win every game, but I don't want to keep persisting with the same team. Now we know that Mustafi isn't good enough. Get him out of the squad. Put Holding in instead of him. Now we know Kolasinac isn't good enough for the squad. Take him out. Put maybe a Zach Medley or someone else in. Put, I don't know, Chambers might be back. Like, put him in. You have to chop and change, make changes. What I don't want, and Arsenal has been foul of this, right? What we have done is that sometimes we've invested in attack, heavily in attack with Lacazette, Aubameyang, Sanchez, etc., and we've had a shit defense. Sometimes
the focus has to be there.
Sometimes we've invested in defense and had good players in defense. Then we had players like Shamak and Bentner and Giroud and whoever, Yaya Sanogo and the others.
Yeah.
We had
who they got mentioned yesterday with the Liverpool lads. They said, you got into the Champions League with those kind of teams.
Exactly. I mean, that I am astounded by the fact that we had a midfield of Danielson playing and Coquelin playing and all of these idiots playing, and then we still managed to get into the top 4 consistently. And at that point, it was the title was far away, but the others were also kept at bay. We were in that safe spot, which
brings me.
But now it's just not. So stop persisting with the same thing. The Liverpool game, they're going to attack. They want to go for the 100-point tally, right? Use it as a game to get structure and how you're going to play against City. Use that as a tryout for City.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Use it as a tryout for City. Try to get some pride out of this season by trying to be in the final, trying to win the final, in a one-off game. Let's see what can happen. In the league, I think we should chop and change, make decisions. There are players that are just not good enough. And if Mustafi gets a new deal, if Kolasinac is still here, if players like these are still here, then I will know what the intent of the club is.
Yeah, exactly. In the podcast yesterday, we did talk about all of that stuff. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of things in place at Arsenal. We have a location. I mean, you can sneer at it. We still have a location that Raul can sell. We have a stadium. We have a playing surface. I believe we have a coach that's going to get better. We talked about this in the podcast. He's going to make mistakes just like the players make mistakes. And the conversations come perfectly around to you, Stan, in terms of Rohan set it up. We were, a few years ago, we were top 4 consistently. And as you've said, Stan, we've been continually sort of degrading a little bit. Now we were 3 years ago, we were top 6 material, and now we're mid-table. And the league does not lie, Stan.
The worst thing about that is as well, it's the acceptance from our fans when they say, "Oh yeah, we don't need to be in Europe. It'll do us good." Do you mean it's going to do us good? Look at where we are. We've not been in the Champions League. They ain't done us any good. We're going up against lesser competition in the Europa League, and that's given us a problem. And they don't want us in the competition at all. And I think it's that kind of a mindset you know, you're an Arsenal player, and you're looking on social media, and you're looking at Arsenal fans tweeting out stuff like, maybe we shouldn't be in Europe anyway. Maybe it'd be better for us. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether it subconsciously that permeates in, but you're seeing it from your own fans, the acceptance of mediocrity. And as Rohan says, you should be going out to win every single game.
Yeah.
Every single game should be a cup final for you. And try and always leave with the points or the qualification into the next round of that competition that you might be in. But the acceptance, to accept it and say, yeah, we shouldn't be in Europe, then what? We shouldn't be in this league? Is that what comes next? Because we're not in the Chris Champions League anymore.
No,
everyone used to say that we treated that like we were winning the cup. Then we got into the Europa League. Now they don't want us in the Europa League. Now what happens next? Not this league. There's too many Arsenal fans that acceptance, all because a player comes into Arsenal, whether he's on loan or not, or because he's wearing the shirt. Never be afraid to say that we can upgrade and maybe move that person on, or because he's here in the fold. Don't be scared to let them go. Oh, he's got the shirt on. He must be brilliant. He must be fantastic. We don't need anybody else.
Hey, Stan, I have a question for you.
And just one more thing, Alonso. I want to round up by saying, when Hertha Berlin rang up and offered us 40 million, I think it was euros, not pounds, euros, for Granit Xhaka, we had the audacity to say, no, that's not right. And when Roma rang up and said, here's 10 million euros for Mkhitaryan, we said, no, we're not having that. And what did we go and do? We paid Mkhitaryan to leave the club. That is arse about face. Do you not get that? Arse about face. That's like putting a cart in front of a horse. That's not shrewd thinking. Yeah. And I just want some of our Arsenal fans to, I'm not saying that you be negative and you constantly slag Arsenal off, but don't be afraid to critique the failure and say, hey, I can see this happening here and this is not good enough. Praise the good things. Praise the Kieran Tierney's in his Tesco bag. We love that. Praise Kieran Tierney for going out in snow in rolled up shorts. Give Mustafi his props when he does have a good game, but also be there to call him out when he has a proper stinker and costs us, like Kolasinac did today. And that's all I'm going to leave it on there. Just don't be afraid to want better.
I think that's a good watchword to be close to finishing with. Alonso?
So I was going to ask Stan. So Stan, do you think that some of our fan base have gotten really satisfied with us not being good in Europe anymore, just like our owners not having any ambition?
Rewind back the last 5 minutes and listen to it again.
They sound
I'm thinking because our owners.
I've got nothing more to add to that. It's acceptance, and I'm not accepting it. I won't accept mediocrity for Arsenal.
Yeah.
One more thing. I'm sorry if people go, oh, you're being negative I'm not being negative. I'm just being realistic. It's not good enough.
Yeah. I think Stan is drawing a line in the sand. He's seen a lot of this on social media. And he's right, too, as well. I mean, if the players are going, why should we accept mediocrity when the players are doing that? Some people have said, why should we care when the players don't care?
Right.
You know? So it's tough times. And listen, I think we have to stick with Arteta. We've seen with Klopp, 5 years, they improved every year. We have not gotten better, but we've only changed coach 6 months ago. Last season, we were with Emery. We got 70 points. This season, we won't break 60. We're on 50 points right now, and we have 3 games left. The best we can do is 59 points. That will be an 11-point difference that we've gotten worse. You know, we've gotten worse in that time. But I think if you look at Frank Lampard, you look at Ole, these are examples of believing in your coach and believing in the process. And I think we'll just leave it here where we have to trust. We're watching the transfer window. We're watching what the club does. And I think it's over to Arsenal now to convince us. You know, we're watching, always watching. Anyone else with a final point? Or forever hold your peace, Stan?
I'm good.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yeah, and with Liverpool having that podcast yesterday, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, check it out. Some very good takeaways from it. I think the biggest thing is patience. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to have an oil baron coming in to help us. We're stuck with the ownership that we have. We have to hope. I think we have to hope that the ownership is going to help us. But we also have to not only spend well, but we have spent well over the last 5 years. We have to spend that money well is the important thing. And Arteta needs help. The club needs him to help him in the transfer market. Go and get the players that he wants. And more importantly, maybe, is move the players on that he doesn't want. And I think it's going to happen. Just have to wait and see. Better times ahead, Rohan. Hopefully.
We'll find out in the summer. We will get a clear indication of where we are in the summer.
Yeah.
The
crazy thing about – go ahead, yeah.
You said that we finished with 70 points last season. I think we finished with 75 the season before that. The first time we lost out on Champions League. That was Wenger's last season, right? Where Liverpool got in by one more point. I think we had 75 and we didn't qualify. And we're like at 59. United are going to go third with a win tomorrow. United were below us. They were in and around us. And this is how we've fallen. This season, top four was for a taking, and we just haven't taken that.
And Stan just private messaged me saying I don't want the show to end with that long summation. Nice one. No, I'm just going to leave you with one thing. You know when you're walking out in a pond and you don't know where the bottom is? You don't know where the deepest point is. I don't know where our deepest point is in this season, but I hope we've just hit it, you know? With that, I'm going to not be long-winded and get out of here. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Rohan. Thanks, Alonso. Thanks, Tony. And a big thank you to Ryan and Tanner before that.
I mean, look at this. We're all smiling now. We're all laughing now.
Somehow when you... I hope it's the same when people are watching and somehow we feel a little bit better having talked about it. But then we return to normal life. Yeah. Huge quantities of beer help as well. But yeah, catch us on the next podcast. I'm going to not be long-winded and wind it up really, really quickly.
Sure.
Come on, you Gooners. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Really appreciate it. And share the video. If you like a video, share it with some of your friends. We're out of here. Come on, you Gooners. Up the Arsenal.